So maybe you're wondering what I really want my father to do here. Or maybe you're wondering what I wanted him to do before. Or maybe you're wondering what he can do at the age of 90 or with the tools and people he has around him. Well, telling the truth and just supporting his son would be the first start, but it's too late for that. He can try. I mean, he can still do it, but I mean, he can't undo the damage he's already done. But that would be a good start. When I went to get down to Department of Health and Human Services and I was applying for Social Security on my own, when I was crawling across traffic on my hands and knees, when I was going to the emergency room all the time, when I still go to the doctors now and I have a neurologist, and the Department of Health and Human Services asks for my father's number, and I give my father's number to the Department of Health and Human Services. Then my worker, Beth, calls my father. What I would want from him is to be honest and supportive of what he did to me. Well, what my mother did to me, really. But he's now going along with it. He's trying to help her get away with it. My father does not want to take responsibility for what happened. So he's lying and manipulating and make sure I can never get my Social Security or diagnosis for my disabilities. That's what I need. I need a diagnosis for my disabilities, but not some bullshit that my mother fantasized about. No, stuff you see with your own eyeballs. I'm talking about visible stuff you see with your own eyeballs. Now, I bump into stuff all the time for 25 years. My legs bounce for 25 years. I shake a lot for 25 years. I've barely been able to eat and I've been underweight for 25 years. I've been hyper for 25 years. Now, you got to also take the medication out of the picture because my mother was drugging me so much, it has to be nonstop for 25 years. You can't pick out one thing like I was depressed. No, I wasn't depressed for 25 years. I was only depressed when I was taking massive amounts of depressants. I was on like 5 different pills, 3 of them depressants, and oh yeah, shit was happening to me. So you got to take the pills out of the equation. So what is true now while I'm off the medication, and what was true then when I was off the medication, and what was true pretty often without medications being involved was hard because my mother drugged the shit out of me from age 5 to 19, and there was very little breaks in there. But Texas is a good measure. So in Texas, I was very inventive. If I couldn't do anything, like let's say I couldn't buy a slip and slide, I would make one. Let's say I wanted a plastic sword. My father helped me make a wooden sword. Great. This is the type of stuff you can think about. So I'm very inventive. Zach is very inventive. He's very hyper. He can't concentrate really well. He does have some trouble reading. When he tries to write, his hand shakes and you can't read his handwriting, and that gets worse at certain times. Like if I try to write and it's cold, the teachers noticed that I had a big problem. Okay, I have a problem moving my body. We know that was established at age 7. The doctors called it a coordination issue. I was put in ballet, tap dancing, all this. My mother was trying to treat me with stuff that she knew wouldn't get backfire on her, because she knew what caused it was that overdose because I was speaking up about it. So we know the overdose caused me to have problems moving my body for sure. Okay, so we got hyperactivity with concentration. Okay, that's ADHD. We got some type of neurological disorder in the body that's preventing him from moving that started with an overdose. Okay, after all the abuse in New Mexico, I got PTSD, plus I got memories of my mother drugging me, giving me full bottles of Ipecac and bragging about it. My mother was always, I gave him extra medicine, so what? My mother used to say that. I gave him extra medicine as a punishment, so what? My mother really did. My mother really did give me extra medication as a punishment. She also gave me extra medication at Halloween so I couldn't go out. She was really, she thought she was Mrs. Drug. She thought she could just throw pills at me to shut me up. It was pretty fucked up shit. So what else? Oh, we know I had developed a drug problem. We know that, so I'm an addict. I have PTSD for sure because I have flashbacks and I get emotional and cry when I see them. So we know it's PTSD, and that's what these are. If you listen to a lot of these videos, I'm just describing my PTSD memory so I feel better about it. It's one of the things I do for like therapy. This is my like online diary, and I'm also plan on eventually turning this into a book. but it looks like I'm going to have to die before that. So I hope somebody else will turn this into a book, or somebody else will get my justice, because I really can't suffer anymore, and I'm finally going to suffer and die. This is the last bit. This is the last run. I got to live on the sidewalk in woods the last time, and I'm not going to survive this time. I'm going to make sure of it. There's no way I'm going to the emergency room 100 times. Nope. I'm going to put do not resuscitate on my sheet for sure. I do not want to be resuscitated over and over and over and over. So I'm making sure to put down a do not resuscitate order, because there's no way I wanted that to happen like it did before. And lol, I was living in the woods and they resuscitated me. I would be dead, and then I would come back to life, and I would be like, fuck! I have to suffer in the woods again. I have to freeze to death again. So I'm very tired of this, and it's really hard to get documentation of this. Every time I try to get my real issues on paper, it just goes into my mother's fantasy world again, and I can't get anything done. But the real disabilities I have are wicked bad anxiety. Oh, after all the shit that I've been through, especially when I think somebody's lying about me or about to jump onto a story, that worries me a lot. Because when somebody jumps on a fantasy boat or starts making up stories about me, I know I'm going to get hurt. So I get wicked bad anxiety when I know somebody's about to lie about me. 2, PTSD. Oh my God, do I have PTSD flashbacks? I have some type of neurological disorder in my body where I bump into things, I fall, I have seizures, whatever that is. Now, I've been trying to get that looked at for 25 years, but my father doesn't want that. And that's going to take multiple appointments. It's not like we're going to be able to go straight in and get a diagnosis. Thanks to my father and mother spending 15 years trying to make sure that no doctors would listen to me, it's going to take a couple years of going to doctors, listening to me, doing testing. It's not going to be a straight up answer. There's no way a doctor is going to just give me a straight up answer right away with all the anxiety, PTSD.